Good afternoon, everyone. Today's lesson is going to be coming from Judges, the 6th chapter. And it's going to be from our Sunday school lesson for week of June 14th. That's lesson number 2, and the title of it is The Call of Gideon. Okay. Chapter 6, verses 11 through 24. And as our custom is, we're going to go around the room and read the verses of the scripture. And the first person I'm going to start with is Deacon Prince. Could you read for me 11, 12, and 13?
And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord that hath forsaken us and delivered us unto the hands of the Midianites.
All right. Sister Gay, can you read 14 and 15 for us, please?
And the Lord looked upon him and said, Go in this thy mighty, and thou shalt save Israel from the hands of the
Midianites.
Midianites, as not I have sent thee. And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my friend is poor, and
Manasseh.
And I am the least in my father's house.
All right, thank you.
Definitely.
Deacon Ridgway, can you read 16 and 17 for us, please?
And the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in the right sight of the Lord, in thy sight, thou shalt show me a sign that thou takest with me.
Talkest with me.
Talkest with me.
All right. Sister Ann, can you read 18, 19, and 20, please?
Do not depart from here, I pray, until I come to you and bring out my offering and set it before you. And he said, I will wait with you, come back. So Gideon went in and prepared a young goat and unleavened bread and what's that, Mike? What's that word?
Ephah.
Ephah. of our the meat he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and he brought them out to him under the terebinth tree and presented them. And the angel of the Lord said to him, take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock and pour out the broth. And he did so.
Sister Brenda, you read 21 and 22 and have Christina read 23 for us, please.
Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cake. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord of God, for because I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee. Fear not, thou shalt not die.
All right, well, seeing that.
I read a verse.
Okay, I see. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day is yet in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. So today's lesson was broken up into four parts. Gideon's doubt, verses 11 through 15. Gideon's reassurance, 16 through 18. Gideon's gift to the angel, 19 to 21. And the last portion is Gideon worships the Lord, 22 through 24. Okay. First part is Gideon's doubt. Now, I was reading in the expositor, it mentioned the part about what a surprise it would be, especially since he's doing this in secret. He's doing this in hiding from the Midianites because they were going to come in and take the wheat from him. Because I don't know if anybody knows how that happens with the chaff and the wheat and everything. I don't know if you knew. I saw something on television a long time ago, and I remember that they just took some kind of thing and just flipped it in the air, and the wind would take away the chaff. And that can be seen from somebody who's in elevator. They can see, so, oh, okay, let's go down there and let's steal that. And so he was hiding from it by doing it with the wine press, where they actually press the grapes to make wine. So that's why he was, quote, hiding. I don't know if anybody has read the entire chapter. The entire chapter tells you a lot more. It gives you a lot more taste of what they were going through. Because, again, if you start at the beginning, chapter 6, verse 1, it says, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. Okay. It's a recurring theme in this particular book. They kept going over and over and over. They did not learn from history. History told them, hey, you sin, especially the kind of sin that you have by erecting groves, as they call it in there, totem poles or something like that to other gods. That violates the first commandment. First commandment violates it. And you keep doing that, and you're going to be punished. So, anyway, that's what it says, and that's what happened. It says, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. 7 years? That's not a long time compared to what happened beforehand. But it still is under bondage, basically. You're basically under bondage. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. And so it was, when Israel had sown, that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of the east, even they came up against them, And they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. Now, the thing about this is that they just took and just destroyed everything. Some sort of, I guess you could say, they are more or less like living locusts, like human locusts. But anyway, that's why that's why Gideon was hiding, basically. That's the reason why. But anyway, the first part of this, like I said, first part of this is Gideon's doubt. And there came an angel, verse 11 now. And there came an angel of the Lord, and sat under an oak, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash in Abizarite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. Now, a couple of things in that particular verse. Well, I just mentioned about why he was in the winepress. Did you have anything about the name Abizarite? Did anybody do any study on that particular one? No? Well, I'm gonna take us. Let's go to Joshua, the 17th chapter. Just like it says in the expositor, a lot of Israel's enemies were actually distant relatives. And the worst part about it is, it kind of like tells you that your relatives are not always your best friends. although if you do have a good, healthy relationship with your family, it really shouldn't be that big of a problem to try to continue that. But anyway, chapter 17, verse 2. And it says right here in verse 2, well, let's go from verse 1. There was also a lot for the tribe of Manasseh. And you know who Manasseh was. Manasseh was Joseph's son. He was one of the tribes, one of the 12 tribes. For he was the firstborn of Joseph, to wit, for Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war. Therefore, he had Gilead and Bashan. There was also a lot for the rest of the children of Manasseh. Okay, now, one guy got some a portion. Now he's talking about that there was a lot or a portion for the rest of the children of Manasseh by their families, for the children of Abiezer, and for the children of Helek, and for the children of Asrael, and for the children of Shechem, and for the children of Hepher, and for the children of Shemidah. These were the male children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph by their families. Now, if you read down a little bit further, it'll be a hint. The hint was, why was it said in here, the male children of Manasseh? There's a reason why. If you guys want to know, read the rest of the chapter. But there is a reason why it was said, it was put in that manner. Now let's go back to our text. I just wanted to bring out where the Berizites came from. Verse 12. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And question, why would he be called a mighty man of valor? Why? I guess the same reason why Abram's name was changed to Abraham, father of a multitude. Hey, if you don't get it, if God doesn't get any acknowledgement, he's going to do something to make forth his word come forth. And in that case with Abram, he changed his name. So now Abram became Abraham, father of a multitude, when he only had one son. Now he's got a multitude. Now if you go in afterwards, you read about he had more sons. He had one son by his wife, and then he had more sons after Sarah passed. after Serapis with his other wife named Keturah. But anyway, called him a mighty man of valor. Speaking that into existence, don't you think? At least that's the first thing I thought about. He spoke it into existence. The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And just like the expositor pointed out, and human nature points it out too, when we get persecuted, why is all this happening to us? Why is all this happening to us? Well, here's the thing about it. In this particular instance, if you read from chapter 6, verse 1, that's the reason why. The children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hands of Midian for 7 years. That's the problem. They did evil. They continuously do evil. And they continuously go back to the apostasy of worshiping Baal. Now, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles, where our fathers told us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Well, another good thing about this, he did acknowledge that God gave them miracles and saved them in the past. So what happened? Why did he forsake us? No, you forsake him. You forsook him. He left. He didn't leave. He was always there. You're the one who turned your back and walked away. Which reminds me of something that I did many years ago, which I don't want to get into. Maybe on some other day we could talk about it. It was kind of embarrassing to me. But anyway, you sit there and you look at that and he said, okay, why is this happening to us? Well, the history would tell you why it's happening to you. And right now, the United States better start to realize what's going on here, because we need to learn from our history. Our history is telling us so many different things. We're repeating the same old thing over and over and over. And just like we said before, the Old Testament is for our learning. We have to learn what happened, learn the mistakes that they made. And I said like this a long time before I even got here. I said, I need to know this because, see, I don't think I'm going to live long enough to make my mistakes and their mistakes too. I'll learn from theirs not to do that, and I'll do others, and I say, okay, I don't need to do that, I can't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. Learn, Old Testament, learn from the mistakes that were made here. Learn from them, so therefore you don't have to do them anymore. Learn from them, and you can basically learn the things that you've already know to do, and concentrate on those. Okay. 14. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of Midianites. Have not I sent thee? Okay. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might. And I had to think about that for a little bit. And I needed a little help because that was a little bit strangely worded to me. So, and after I looked at it in another book, I was looking at it in the Amplified, and I also looked at it on one of the Bible helps on BibleGateway.com. And that's when I saw that, so I said, now I see what it is. That the way the English was translated, it was a little bit foggy to me, especially in this century. If it was back in the 17th century, I probably would have picked it up right off the bat. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might. Okay, go in your current strength. I'm sending you now. This is what God said. I'm sending you now to do what I just told you. Have I not told you this? Just go do this. Do it. If God tells you to do it, do it. Because if he tells you to do it, he's going to make a way for you to complete it. He's not going to send you on a fool's errand. He's going to, wherever he sends you, he's going to equip you. Okay? So, go in your strength, and then it says, rest of it says, thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? Okay. God uses the weak, not the strong people, the weak in strength. Weak in strength, weak in, I won't say, yeah, weak in strength, I'll just say weak in strength. Or for him to get the glory. Because if you go, if for instance, if you happen to be some mighty general and you lead this army into a victory, who's going to get the credit? Yeah, I mean, where was it? Did anyone say anything about God when quote General Schwarzkopf was in Desert Storm? No, it was General Schwarzkopf. Well, yeah, but you know what? It was God that allowed it, and that's one of the things that a lot of times we as Christians don't always give credit where the credit is supposed to be coming from. To God goes the glory, not to man, because this is something that God allowed. Anyway, when I get to when I read that, that's the first thing I thought about was we have to make sure to be open to his call, especially. Well, I can't do that. Well, if he sends you, he's going to make sure you get there.
That's right.
Have I not sent you?
Yeah, have I not sent? Hey, look, just do as I tell you.
I got your back.
Exactly. I got your back. Just go. Do as I tell you. That's a guy like that. 15. And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Okay, there we go, asking questions. There we go, asking questions. Didn't I just tell you to just go? O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And you know, I thought of two things. One of them that was brought out, Moses. I'm a stutterer. Well, to be honest, so am I. So I'm a stutterer, and how can I talk to Pharaoh? And blah blah blah. And the other one was the least in my father's house. Wasn't David the youngest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. David was the youngest. He was the least. He wasn't even shown. He wasn't even shown to the prophet. The prophet didn't know anything of it. He said, don't you have another one? You got another one? Because God don't make mistakes. You must have another son someplace. So David was also the youngest. And he became king. It's not, here it is now. It's not about what you are.
That's right.
It's all about what he is.
Praise.
He will equip the ones that he calls. This all you got to do is be obedient, and you will be successful. So anyway, when I think about Gideon's doubt, sometimes I think about my own doubt. Not my own doubt in the Lord. My own doubt in the things that he the things that he may have called me to do. I want to be cognizant of it. I want to fulfill it because that's the safest place to be in the will of the Lord. That's the safest place to be in the will of the Lord. So, with that, that's the first section. Gideon's doubt. Anyone have any questions or anything they want to add to this portion? Yes? No? Okay.
Excuse me. I know in here, he was asking questions. We have a tendency today to ask questions. We always ask questions. We ask God questions. The first question we ask, why me? Why not me? Why do we do that?
We do that because I think I know for myself, I've done it too. I do it all the time. It's one of those things, I want to know the entire plan. Well, God doesn't always work that way. In fact, he rarely works because you've got to step out by faith. You've got to trust his word. So if he tells you to do A, you do A, and you wait for instructions. Okay? You don't have to know, you don't have to know from A to Z. You have to know what he tells you to do. You do what he tells you. And it's with me too. With me too. I don't like surprises. I don't like surprises because they're a little bit embarrassing to me, especially because I may not be prepared for it. Okay. So, but the thing that we have to know that His plan is perfect. He tells you to do A, you do A. Maybe He wants somebody else to do B, and maybe you pick up C afterwards. I don't know. Only He knows. He knows what His plan is. He knows what His plan is. He knows how to get things done. So that's just me. When you said, why do we do this? Me personally, I don't like to be surprised. I like to know all the steps that I got to do so I can prepare for them. But God is the one that's driving. God's driving this show, not me. Sister Brenda, you were going to say something?
I said the flush always jump out first. So God said go right. What's over there?
That's me.
What's over there?
I gotta admit, that's me. That's me. Anyone, Sister Prince?
And when we started this lesson, it painted a picture of Gideon being a fearful person.
Mm-hmm.
He was very afraid.
I wasn't going to put too much of that because I was going to, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Just the fact that he was threshing the wheat in a wine press.
Yeah.
And they said that he was down in this press up to his chest. And it had to be difficult because on a threshing floor, you got room, that you can thresh this wheat. Mm-hmm. But here he is down in the wine press where the job was very difficult.
Yeah.
But he was hiding.
Mm-hmm.
He was hiding because he figured that the Midianites would come and take his stuff, and that's what they have been doing.
Yeah.
And then when this angel of the Lord comes to him and calls him a mighty man of valor, I could just imagine him saying, who, me? But here's when you get this call that you need encouragement.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that the angel of the Lord knew that he was fearful.
Mm-hmm.
But God can make anything out of nothing. So you might not look at yourself like that now, but when you go through the test, you'll come out just like God called him, a mighty man of valor. And something else I made note of. When he made that excuse, it made me think about Moses.
Yeah.
And so many others. Because we make an excuse too when we get called.
That's true.
I can't do this. And like you said, Sister Ann, why me? Well, why me is doubt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Why me? When we get called to a task, we say, I can't do that.
Why me?
And we can. And what did he tell him? He said, go in this thy might.
Yes.
That little bit of strength that you have. Just go.
Yeah.
Because God is going to be with you.
Yeah.
And we always want to think every job we do is dependent on our strength.
Yeah.
And we can't do it in our
And we
strength.
can't do it. So the thing is, focus on God, the one that sent you.
Yeah.
That's right.
But again, like you just was pointed out about in the strength that go in this thy strength. It makes me think about, okay, look, you may think that you're weak, you can't do this, and you are right. You are right. You can't do this. So therefore, I will help you do this. And once you do this, you won't be able to steal or take credit for it.
Exactly.
This is my glory, not your glory.
And that's why when God chooses, he usually chooses the lowest.
Yes.
Because if it was about somebody being so strong and so powerful,
You would need 'em.
they might go out there like it was their battle and they won it. But like you said, no. In the end, it's God, and we need to know that. And he is the one that gets the glory.
Another one of the few that he's picked, that he chose that had strength. Strength in intelligence and in the Old Testament word was the Apostle Paul. But Paul always called himself the least.
The least.
He always called himself the least. He acknowledged that, yes, I received all this thing and I'm teaching you, but I received this to give to you. This is nothing that I did on my own, or nothing that I researched on my own.
Yeah.
This was given to me by the Lord to give to you. He never took credit for, he never took the glory. He never took God's glory. And that's one of the things that we need to remember. That even though we may be a PhD or whatever you want to call it, even though we may be those kind of people, that intelligence or something like that, that ain't it.
That's not
Always
it.
give God His glory.
That's right. Praise Him. Praise Him.
Amen.
Yep.
You say you don't do that, everybody does.
Anybody read all the books in the world? No.
No.
No. All right. Anyone else? Second portion, Gideon's reassurance. 16. And the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. Now, when he said that, surely I will be with thee, he just gave you a credit card. He just gave you a credit card with an unlimited amount. Oh, I'm going to be, you're going to be with me?
Let's go.
Exactly. It's nothing anybody can tell me now. You already said that you're going to be with me. But here's the thing about it. God is with us all. Every last one of us. Every born-again believer, God is with us. God is with us. So think about that. Think about that now. What does that make us? That makes us conquerors. Or should we say, more than conquerors. Anyway, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midians as one man. I was a little foggy on this one too until I researched it a little bit and read into that. As one man, I was thinking that Gideon was the one man.
No.
But no.
No.
The Midianites were as one man. You smite this one, and it's just like a domino. They're all gone. They're all gone. So when I saw that, because I kept reading. I just had that question in the back of my mind, and I said I was going to research that, and then it said it in the expositor what that actually meant. And I said, okay, that makes a lot of sense now. I understand it, but I still had to do a little bit more research just to make sure that I was reading this correct. Make sure that the expositor and my research was coming up the same. And again, like I said, it did come up the same. He said it was going to be almost like one man, just as one man. Yeah, it's almost. But see, the thing about it. Well, it's just like you smite the head and the whole snake will die. 17. And he said unto him, if now I have found this is Midian, this is Gideon saying on to the Lord. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. So he's going to wait. God's going to wait. And when you sit there and you think about this, it says, okay, I believe you, but he wasn't sure who he was talking to. He wasn't 100% sure. So said he's going to prepare a present or an offering or a gift. Now, I saw something today. I saw something today about a gift. I'm in the next section. I'm gonna bring that out. But it's going to be some type of an offering. So you sit there and you wonder, what is he going to bring forth? So what I was going to talk about is just that Gideon's reassurance. He was told that he was going to be victorious in this venture that he's going to come up against the Midianites. Now, I'm going to end that portion right then and there and ask if anybody, now don't go on to 19 yet, anyone have any questions or things that they want to bring out on that small section about Gideon's reassurance.
When I was looking at this and looking at the history of all that was going on, and it talked about how the Midianites would go in on these people, like in the fall, and in the winter and the early spring, it said. And they would just take over their land. They would turn their cattle loose and let them eat up all the grains. And it took us to verse 5 that said, for they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. So when you think about that, grasshoppers, you know, these little things that just jump all over the place, and so many of them. So it just opened up, you know, what this was all about. But he said the Midianites as one. So all that you think you know about how many with God on your side, they're going to be as one.
When you mentioned that about the grasshoppers, and because I read the entire chapter first before I did that, before I got into the actual lesson, and I was looking at this at grasshoppers, and it says in my Bible, it says as locusts.
As locusts.
And so I said, okay. And the first thing I'm thinking about is what happened just recently in East Africa. Those are just, the locusts were just coming in, just destroying everything. Yeah, they're hungrier than what I used to be.
Yeah, that used to happen on the farms like that. You're right, but down south when we going.
Yeah, I know. I not that I know personally, but I did read about it in history books about the locusts and the dust storms of the Midwest and everything, and they just absolutely destroyed everything. But yeah, I was thinking about the locusts, and I've seen documentaries on locusts, and see the swarms of locusts coming. So, oh my, that looks really ominous. And I don't think I don't know what I would do if I saw that just eating up everything that I had done. It's just like, it's just horrible. But anyway, yeah, I hear exactly what you said. That the grasshoppers, they're all over the place. Locusts, I mean, and they did this total destruction. Anyone else before we move on to the third part? Anyone? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No matter how big the situation looks, or how worse it looks, we got to just keep in focus that God is over all.
Oh, yes.
It's like, no matter how many people they had, like they said, I'm sitting here looking at them and said, they thought they had the Israelites because they took everything they had. But I like how it let us know it did it because they didn't give God His glory. They didn't put Him where He's supposed. And we got the certain circumstances right today. That's where we are today. This lesson is taking us. We're not pleasing God.
Yeah.
We're not doing what He's saying. We're going farther and farther away. They was worshiping idols. He let us know that's what He made us for. To praise Him. And so when I look at the lesson up until here, it's saying that we are not doing no different. The history is there, but we're not doing no different.
Another thing about that is we're not learning from history. Okay, why were they in bondage for just 7 years? Why they? Because of what?
Doing evil.
Evil,
apostasy,
idol worship. What do? We're doing much the same. We're doing much the same. Many things that this country has indulged in, and I'm talking about the people in this country have indulged in, is basically an abomination. Basically, that's what it is. And we haven't learned. We haven't learned from history.
That's it.
Well, go ahead. Oh, okay. I was going to say one other thing. Notice what he said. He wants a sign. First thing I thought about was Jews. What was I say? Jews seek after a sign. We have to go by faith. We have to go by faith. And the thing about it, we have to, because his faith was weak, talking about Gideon, he asked for a sign.
Yeah.
And if you read the entire chapter, he asked for it again.
Yeah.
And again. I mean, I can understand. It's basically like looking both ways on a one-way street. I mean, you know the traffic normally is going to come one way, but you look that way anyway before you look over here. You look back again just to make sure. But in this case, if God tells you, take him at his word. Don't. I mean, he's not going to lead you into. He's not going to lead you into a pit.
Sometimes it's a good thing to look both ways.
Well, yeah, it is a good thing to look both ways. But if God tells you to go, just go.
Yeah, you don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, God's gift to the angel. And Gideon went in. This is verses 19 through 21. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him, the angel, under the oak, and presented it. Okay? Which is, you know, this is something that I found out this morning. The gift was intended for a refreshment on his return trip. Think about it. He just came. We don't know where he came from, but he just came here. Well, we'll give you something so you can take back with you. Okay? And it sit there and you think, I said, okay, that's good. And then then in the verse 20, and the angel of God said unto him, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes and lay them upon this rock and pour out the broth, and he did so. Now, if you looked at the expositor, it made mention that he was a little puzzled at that. Why do you do that? Why are you doing it that way? Shouldn't you be taking it with you? Okay? Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. That's one crazy demonstration of who that stranger was, who that person was. Yeah, because you're going to this is a present for you, an offering to take with you. No, he didn't need that. God consumed it right there in front of him.
Yes,
so therefore he knew, said, whoa, this is not your run-of-the-mill stranger who was walking up there. This is from the Lord. And you sit there and you think, you said, wow, that is a tremendous display. That's a tremendous sign. That is a very tremendous, because if something like that happened in front of me, you know, I mean, you pour all that stuff, that's just like, it's just like when the prophet was had the people had his enemies, he had his enemies pour water all over the sacrifice, all over the sacrifice. Keep pouring water on, keep pouring water on it. That thing ain't gonna burn. That thing ain't gonna burn. All of a sudden, boom! That's the first thing I thought about. So I said, "Oh wow, what a display there." Anyway, that's the fiery consumption of the meat and bread indicated the acceptance of Gideon's offering. Okay, your offering was received and accepted. Okay, but it was a visual display as who who it was that took that offering. And you sit there, you wonder, said, what would you have thought if you had seen something like that? If you had done all that and just seen someone just consume it with just his rod and then disappear.
If you didn't know the Lord, it would kind of blow your mind.
Oh yeah, well for sure, because he thought God had abandoned it. Remember, he said that earlier. Why has God abandoned us? So that was his answer. God did not abandon. You're the one who turned his back. In fact, I remember was one place, the person I'm talking about now is deceased now, but he said, and it was something that was very, it's very obvious and it was very cool too. He said, if you ever wonder where God moved to, you just think about it. God wasn't the one that moved. You're the one that moved. He was there all along. You're the one that moved.
All right.
So, y'all got to remember that. If you don't feel God's presence, what did you do to not feel his presence? You got to know. You got to know that God said he will be with you always.
Always.
And you got to remember that. And if you do remember that, I would think you're more apt to continue realizing that the Lord is with me, no matter what. The Lord is with me. Yeah. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to ask or add to that section, that small section? Sister Brenda?
And I can witness that God will give you a confirmation. He can call you, God will give you a confirmation.
Oh, yes.
And I can witness that because I had a girlfriend and a mother that something I be going through, and I be trying not to tell them, and they come out and tell me exactly what I should be. Stand still and know that God is with you. They give you, and you saying God works through them to give you that name. So anyone that's doing something for the Lord, you want to make sure you're doing what God tells you, so I can understand Gideon and his state that he was in. Even if you got faith, it's just like the devil gonna use every opportunity to try to get you to doubt it, even if you firmly say, "For God I live, for God I die." He's still gonna be working on that mind. That's why he keeps telling us to renew our mind.
That's another reason why we have to do it daily, not just once or twice a week. We got to do it daily because, first of all, I eat every day. I eat every day, so I should renew my mind every day, especially when I got all that's poison all over the place and on television and in everyday life. At where I'm working, you hear all kinds of foul language, and this is in an office. That was a construction office, so therefore they kind of like take a little bit of liberty because that's the way they talk out in the field. But you're not in the field. You're here in the office, and you shouldn't be using that kind of language. But that's the way it is. You need to renew your mind on this and renew your mind with the Word, because otherwise you'll fall into the same old trap. Just like the Israelites right here. God told him, get rid of them. Get rid of them all. Because if you don't get rid of them all, you're going to learn their ways. You're going to give their daughters to them, and they're going to give their daughters to you, and you're going to intermingle, and therefore you're going to forget God. What happens? That's exactly what happens. They forgot God. So that's why you have to renew your mind every single day on the Word to make sure you always stay close to God. Close to His Word, because His Word is speaking to us. His Word is Him speaking to us.
Yes, it is.
Anyone else want to add anything? No? Okay. The last section, verses 22 through 24. And Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord. Gee, good guess. Gideon said, "Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face." And the Lord said unto him, "Peace be unto you. Fear not, thou shalt not die." Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah, in the Aberazites. Aberazites. And I look at this, and the first thing I got a scripture about seeing God. I want to go to, stay in the same book, go to chapter 13. It's chapter 13 in Judges. This is about seeing God. You can do the whole, the beginning of the chapter from, I guess you can go from verse 6 on down, no, verse 9 on down, but I'm just going to go, because it says seeing God, cross-reference here is chapter 13, verses 21 through 23. And I'm going to read, "But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and his wife." Oh, he appeared, huh? "Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen God." 23. "But his wife said unto him, If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering." Isn't that what happened earlier, a burnt offering? Although the Lord provided the fire. "He would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands, neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would, as at this time, have told us such things as these." So
Praise the Lord.
God revealed himself, and he even revealed what's going to be happening in many cases, in this case rather. And so therefore, seeing God was not a death sentence that Gideon thought it was going to be.
Right.
He was afraid. But here's the thing about it. The thing about it was the Lord brought all this, and it was of the Lord's doing. So therefore, it was not going, he was not in danger of, quote, dying. "Peace be unto you, peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die." Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. Now you know, you know what that means, right? It's a compound word. God is Jehovah, or and they say Jehovah, and Shalom means peace, as in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Salem, it means peace. Citadel of peace. That's what that means. So, the note that I had was that meant actually the altar, the Lord send peace. But the Lord and peace are the two things that are most important in this. There's peace in the Lord. So, anyone have anything that they want to ask or add to this? Sister Brenda?
The reason Gideon thought he was going to die because in the scripture in the Old Testament it said, "No man shall see God and live."
Mm-hmm.
So in studying the Bible, it's a lot of things you think you understand, and you're trying to put it together with your life, and then it comes out you have a wrong situation for that statement that was made.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to really understand what that scripture was saying. But he had in his mind what the scripture said, "No man has seen."
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. That's the first thing I was thinking. To say, wait a minute, hold it. And then I happened to click on a cross reference in my study program, and it took me to Judges right down the street. Judges the 13th chapter, 21 through 23. So I said, oh, okay. Well, there's evidence of others that God revealed himself to that did not die. And when I saw that, so I said, okay, now I feel better about what I read and understanding what I read and understanding what I knew beforehand or what I had read beforehand. So, but I agree with you, Sister Brenda. I really do. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Anyone else? Okay. Well, in normal time, we will be giving that stuff to the superintendent. Would you like to come up, Sister Prince?
Do I need to? I will.
It's up to you. You're the superintendent.
I will.
All right.
Thank God for your word.
I enjoyed that. It was a nice,
Beautiful,
It was a nice
word.
study.
It was.
Thank God for his reassurance,
Yes, yes, indeed.
because apparently Gideon did know the scriptures. And he knew that he should have been afraid if he had seen God face to face. But then God reassured him. And in this lesson, I see where he was encouraged. Gideon, as I said before, was fearful. He was doubtful. He asked for a sign. And the good news is that God never gave up on him.
Yes,
He
yes.
didn't get impatient. He didn't say, didn't I show you that before? You know, because we tend to be impatient. How many times do I have to tell you this?
The same
How
thing.
many times do I have to show you? But God kept working, and you said it. He didn't do it just once. He did it over and over. But God was right there to reassure him and let him know that I'm with you. And that's all we really need to know. But we need to have faith, and we need to trust God that when he calls us, he really does not expect us to do it on our own. That's why he equips us with the Holy Spirit. You know, and so we have to understand it's not really about us. He is just using us to do what he has for us to do. So it was a beautiful lesson, and it was a lot that I got out of it. I hope everybody else did. And then in the very end, you know, Gideon was blessed with peace. Because when he was hiding his crop and afraid that they were going to be overtaken, he was not in a peaceful state. But in the very last part, it says, and when Gideon perceived that he wasn't an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, peace be unto thee. Fear not. You don't have to be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. Thou shalt not die. So then what did Gideon do? Built an altar. And we'll find out that he was told to take down those altars. Because Deacon Mike said that he was worshiping Baal and Asherah. So then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. The Lord is peace. Unto this day, it is yet in an Ophrah of the Abiezrites. So again, thank you, Deacon Mike, for your letting the Lord use you to bring the word out. Beautiful lesson.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Encourage Deacon Mike, because what he don't realize, he was reading this stuff,
All right.
this lesson. For you, you got a call on your life, but you just like Gideon. I was too. Nothing to be wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We all have fear. Everybody in here got fear. And you know why you need fear? So you depend on him. if you get up there with all that confidence, you figure, well, I know, I got it. But the key thing you said to the lesson is, what most people are thinking this, was the verse 1 and 2.
Did evil again.
1 and 2. What caused the problem?
That's it. That's
You
it.
always look what caused the problem. Why was they in the situation they were in?
That's right.
Same problem we in today.
Amen.
Sin always brings consequences.
Yes, it does.
I don't care if you're on a break, sin still, you're going to pay a price.
Bring
You're
it
going to be
out.
punished for
Yeah,
sin.
that's it. That's it.
And that was the key to this chapter.
Oh.
He's looking back to what happened then. But now he chosen to go the one to bring them out.
All
It's
right.
a different story when you get in charge.
That's right.
Yeah.
When somebody else in charge, oh, you can sit back there and free will it. I'm telling you. Well, I just hope I be around when you take your, when you accept your call. And I'm going to sit back and be the Sunday school teacher. And I'm going to show you that you're going to have to rely on God. You
That's
got to
right.
rely on Him.
That's right.
God told him, look here. See, all of this, what you said, it went back to 1 Corinthians 10:11. This is for our learning.
That's right.
Old Testament, all of it's for our learning.
Right.
You learn from them.
Yeah.
But he had to build his faith. That's why he kept coming. Now, another thing I want you to do, I heard a preacher say this yesterday, the angel of the Lord. Who do you think that was?
God.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's why. That's why. You don't make no offers to no angel.
Yeah. And you notice in the book, the A in angel was capitalized. That was a hint. That was a big hint.
Yeah. So these are things. Now I just want to see. God was working with him. God knows our hearts.
That's right.
All right. He knew, and that lesson next week gonna bring it out more plainer.
That's right.
It don't take but one man with God.
Amen.
One man, cause God the one fighting the battle. Right here in verse 12 of the lesson, he said, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, said unto him, the Lord is with thee, that mighty man of valor. You's a warrior. I'm with you. That's the key. I'm with you. And if God's with you, you can't be defeated. Then he went down to verse 16, and the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt do what? And when God said, you're going to smite him,
Yeah.
and how you think it happened, it's going to be in your lesson. Did just what God said.
Yeah.
And he ain't had to do nothing. He ain't had to do no sword or nothing. See, God fight for you if you let him.
Yes, he will.
And I know I'm right. And this is for my learning, for all of our learning in here. All this stuff we going through with is cost of sin. And it's going to get worse.
That's right.
But see, you ain't got to fall in that category. It's obey God.
That's it.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Set up.
And, you know, just before we end, I want to go read one scripture. Because this Sunday school class, you are aware of what was happening. In our lessons here in Judges, what did we say in Ehud? It was like a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They did sin and they were punished. And in 21, Judges 21 and 25, it reads, in those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. See, and they were punished because they did evil in the sight of the Lord. With that, we want to dismiss us.
Yes. Sunday school. Everybody raise their right hand, repeat after me. May the Lord watch.
May the Lord watch.
Between me and thee. While we're absent.
While we're absent.
One from another.
One from another.
Amen.
Amen.